Good evening, ghouls and fiends. Welcome once again to another edition of the Ministry of Horror. Once again, live on twitch.tv/Tesius. If you're listening to this or watching this, listen to this later, watching this on YouTube, be sure to follow the Twitch channel, build up our follow account, and maybe give it a subscribe if you've got Amazon Prime. You do actually get a free monthly subscription. Consider using it on us. Help a buddy out. I hope everyone has had a good week. I think it probably isn't too out of pocket to say, but here in the UK, it is fucking hot today. I know the weather around the country has generally been a bit odd. It was only this morning I was chatting to some colleagues further down south from where I live. I'm near Milton Keynes Way, who were saying, "Oh God, got torrential rain." I don't know why they got a Yorkshire accent. Oh God, got torrential rain outside right now. We haven't had rain; we've had nice sun, and it is looking a little bit grey outside now as I say that, but hasn't dropped the temperature. Bloody roasting. So currently, I do have the windows open. There's been neighbours listening to some classic rock outside. I'm not going to complain. It's been some good stuff, but you may have some of that feeding through to the microphone. Hopefully not. Means I've also got the office door open, so hopefully the pooches of horror don't start kicking off because, well, you'll hear it, and maybe they want to be involved in the podcast as well. Who can say? I can certainly not hold that against them. In terms of what has been going on, just the usual, really. I've been quite fortunate to get quite a few early screeners of films, one of which I've been really excited to watch for a little while, but the embargo for the review is like early to middle July. So it's that difficult situation where it's like, I really want to watch this film, but if I watch this, I've either then got to just record a review and then store that and schedule it for when the embargo lifts, or save it and hope I don't forget about it for closer to the time so I can watch it fresh and then review it maybe on a live show. It's it's a real Sophie's choice, that one. Oh, the problems of getting sent free films to watch. It's I'm not complaining at all because it's very, very, very cool. And I definitely have to thank that with a member of the Ministry of Horror / Ministry of Slam / Wrestling Arena for helping me out with that contact early in the days of Ministry of Horror. Very, very thankful for that. As I mentioned, we are live, and we are live with quite a popping chat this evening. We've got Bericles. Bericles is in the chat, long-time pal of the show. Also, the Wrestling Arena, our good pal from the Discord, Wrestling Arena, Ministry of Slam. You know Bericles. How's it going, Barrow? We've also got Fran the Cannon is in the chat. Fran, hope you are doing well. We've just been talking YouTube. A channel that I've followed for quite a while. One of the leading members, the original members of the channel, has left. Not through controversy, as far as I'm aware, but a sad day. Big cultaholic wrestling fan. As people know from listening to the show, I am also a wrestling fan. Sometimes it ebbs and flows, but that is wrestling fandom at the end of the day. You're going to get good months, you're going to get bad months, you're going to get fucking terrible months. But, that's been good. I will mention, while the AEW product is improving, 4-hour Wednesdays 2 weeks in a row is too long for me. I get that the show is essentially Dynamite and Collision, I suppose, together, so it's one big bumper block. But yeah, after 2 hours, it gets like 2.5 hours, and I'm like, I got things I need to be doing, man. I don't have the time for this. We've also got Eddie the Beast has just joined the chat. How's it going, Eddie? Well, thank you very much for joining, guys. It's good. We're doing a live show. So, as per usual with the Ministry of Horror, we're going to be talking just general updates. I will talk some horror updates. Looking at the latest in the world of horror news. We've got quite a bit of horror news. Then we're going to do some reviews, and that's going to lead us into the second half of the show. So the first review, I have had an advanced screener for a film called Cannibal Mukbang. The title will give you a certain impression of the film, but don't let titles deceive you. I certainly thought, okay, not too sure, but it also sounds kind of interesting. So stick around because it is interesting. I will talk about that a little bit later on. And then we have another review, a new film that's out of the cinema. But I'm not going to be alone in doing this review. Going to the second half of the show, we're going to start that with a kind of continuation of Ministry Horror. We're going to go into a live version of 90 Slay Fiance. So if people don't know, 90 Slay Fiance is a Patreon exclusive show. Apologies, it has been a little while since we did the second episode. If people don't know, we are getting married this year. And we just sometimes get it where we have certain weeks where we plan ahead. Like that night, we're going to record a show. We're going to get a film watched either that night or the day before. Then we're going to record the show. But life has just been hectic, manic hectic with work things, with wedding planning, visiting family and whatnot. It's kind of been one weekend after another of busyness. But we have said for a while we're going to be doing a live show from 90 Slay Fiance, and that's what we're doing tonight. So went to the cinema earlier this week, and we watched what I had led Victoria to believe, and as far as I knew to an extent was the case, of a shark attack film, new shark attack film called Dangerous Animals. We're going to watch that at the cinema, so we are going to be reviewing that together because Victoria, if people don't know, is a big fan of creature features. Jaws, I think it's Rogue, probably got that wrong. Lake... I was going to say Lake Mungo, but that's not a creature feature. Lake Placid, Anaconda, that sort of thing. She loves a good creature feature. So we're going to talk that. We're also then going to transition properly into the 90 Slay Fiance show with a little segment looking at, I haven't got images prepared because it's all going to be just discussion, looking at the favourite films of Victoria in the creature feature realm, why she likes them, because we don't want to just be giving her films to watch that she's not a fan of. We want to discuss, the films that she is a fan of, because you might get the impression that she doesn't like horror, and that is not the case. But that does transition us into the proper version of 90 Slay Fiance, which the point of that is showing Victoria a classic in the horror genre from all different eras that she hasn't seen before to get her idea on it. First episode we looked at David Lynch's seminal masterpiece. I'm waiting to be told that that's rubbish. Seminal masterpiece, Mulholland Drive. Episode 2, we did the Blair Witch Project. So you may not have heard that, but yeah, she's not a fan of her first David Lynch film. But then today, at time of recording, at time of streaming, is Friday the 13th. And if you know horror, you know that this date is synonymous with horror film royalty. We watched this week the 1980 original first entry in the series on Friday the 13th. And we're going to hear Victoria's thoughts on that. Talk about the film, talk about what she thought of the film. I'm not going to say what she liked, what she disliked. I don't want to bury the lead at all, but we're going to be looking at that. So it is a bumper stream tonight. I don't know if we're going to be doing a watch party later on. I don't know. We'll see how the night goes. As I say, fucking roasting in the UK tonight. So the show's kind of going to be in two parts. We're going to have a little bit of an intermission because setting things up, but we're going to get into the horror news very, very shortly. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat because the chat is popping off. So we also got the Gruff in the chat. Gruff has just joined. Good evening, one and all. So I'm late, better late than never. Thank you for coming along, dude. Awesome to have you here. Let me just have a quick look up through the chat. Berkeley's mentioned a gap in the market about the wrestling podcast loss of Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic. If there's always room for more wrestling podcasts, as far as I'm concerned. Ministry of Slam has gone away and come back before. Who knows? Non-wrestling related, I have mentioned. There's talks, there's ongoing discussions, non-wrestling, non-horror related, of me doing a podcast with a former member of the Ministry of Slam host family. So keep your ears peeled on that. I don't know if I can give too much away without flashing the stream, trying to show my top, but the name of the top may give you a little hint. Obviously, if you're listening to this on podcast platforms, I basically just flashed my vest to the stream, so you don't need to know more than that. Let's have a little look at what else we've got in the chat. So mention of Wrestle Talk Fran's mentioned, Fran or Berkeley's had mentioned about the Wrestle Talk have got rid of most of their guys. Fran has said Wrestle Talk is a shadow of what it once was. Yes, I haven't really watched Wrestle Talk in quite a long time. I do remember when Wrestle Talk was actually a TV show on, I think, Challenge TV. I think it was on after TNA Impact, or might have been called Impact Wrestling at that point. But it had Marty Scurll on before Me Too. But it also had Matthew Gregg, who is the Botchamania guy, who my first impression of was on that show, and I thought, oh my god, cringeworthy. He then joined Cultaholic on the podcast, and initially was not very good, but he is he's part of the podcast show regularly, and is very, very good on that. Just takes a little while to get used to. Eddie the Beast doing great. Good evening, all. Yeah, we've got quite a lot going on in the chat. Fran's mentioned a particular film, which I'm sure will be coming up, and if it doesn't, Fran, maybe prompt in the chat, because there's going to be a few films being discussed. Eddie, why not put Victoria through Godzilla and Kong movies? I mean, Eddie, mate, I haven't even watched some of the Godzilla and Kong films. I've not seen the last two, at least. Pericles, I see you've shifted your homework onto Victoria. Well, I've done my time of doing homework. I never liked it at school. I don't like it now. The wrestling homework was actually all right, except didn't I have to watch like an hour-long Antonio Inoki match? I just did not like that at all. Yes, we've got Gruff in the chat. Fran saying, not unless you're talking the Japanese films, Eddie. Godzilla -1. I've heard very good things about Godzilla -1. Okay. There we go. 29 degrees in Kent, Gruff says. Yeah, I think we're at 24, but it feels a lot hotter. Okay, so that's the general gist. In terms of other bits and bobs, lots of reading. I'm working my way through Stephen King's Never Flinch, the new Holly Gibney book. They've picked that up. Just a quick flash on the screen. Nothing dirty, don't worry. It's action-packed week. Yeah, and the main thing was really watching Friday the 13th. But anyway, I have rambled on long enough. I needed to try and fill a bit of initial time. We're going to get to everyone's favourite jingle. We're going to get to the horror news. This is the news. Ho, 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 ho.
You hang up on me again, I'll cut you like a fish, understand?
And since it is Friday the 13th, I'm going to play this sound again. One more time so I can have another swig of beer. So, not to bury the lead too much, but while it's in my head and while I play that as part of the Ministry of Horror news, this is the news time. That's obviously from Friday the 13th. One of the first things mentioned when watching Friday the 13th was, oh, that sound is annoying. Is that going to happen often? Well, I got news for you, Victoria. Get used to that sound effect, especially if we do watch any of the sequels. Yeah, it's an acquired taste, I'll just say. But it's now time for the horror news. As per usual, all of our horror news comes from bloodydisgusting.com. Be sure to check them out on socials, online, check out the website, all the good stuff. We're going to start off with a bit of news from Eddie the Beast's favourite, John Squires. Grave Encounters director's Strange Harvest, rated R for disturbing grisly violence. Saban Films will be releasing Strange Harvest, the faux true crime documentary from Grave Encounters writer-director Stuart Ortiz, and the film has received an R rating this week. Strange Harvest is rated R for disturbing, grisly, violent content and language. In the film, a routine welfare check in the San Bernardino suburbs leads to a gruesome discovery. A family of 3 has been bound, bled, and posed below a strange symbol written in blood on the ceiling. Detective Joe Kirby and Lexi Taylor recognize the symbol as the calling card of the killer from 15 years earlier, calling himself Mr. Shiny, who has seemingly returned to continue his murder spree. Peter Zizzo, Terry Apple, Andy Lauer, Matthew Pescio, Jana Cardia, Thomas Wolfe Jr., Tim Shelburne, Christina Helene Bra, and L.A. Williams? I think it's L.A. Williams, it's capitals. L.A. Williams, yeah. Strange Harvest is like nothing you've ever seen, as Saban Films co-president Jonathan Saber and Shannon Becker said in a recent statement. Stewart has crafted the perfect film for horror and true crime fans. You have to experience this wild ride on the big screen. Okay, so I really did like Strange Encounters. Fucking hell, Grave Encounters. It's one of those films that I think I watched on Shudder or on Prime a few years ago, knowing nothing about it, hadn't heard anything about it, hadn't heard any kind of buzz, positive or negative. It just happened to appear, and I kind of thought, oh, you know, that looks worth a go. What have I got to lose, huh? And damn, it's really, really good. It's really effective. There's moments of CGI that are actually used quite well. CGI is one of those things where you'd think you can get away with CGI in a found footage film, but if done poorly, it really just distracts from the whole thing. I think it was seeing the Dilatov Pass. I think that might be the title. The Dilatov Pass Experiment, something like that. It's a film that ends up having Wendigos in it, but the Wendigos are really CGI'd, and it was the sort of film where it's quite effective for the most part throughout it, until we start seeing the Wendigos in full-on CGI-ness, and that really just distracted from what was happening on screen. But Grave Encounters did it very subtly, mouths elongating to show these kind of ghostly creatures, haunting the place. For a while, it was one of my favourite found footage haunted location type films, until watching Gojin Haunted Asylum, which is just that is a scary film. It's Grave Encounters 2 though. I see what they were trying to do in terms of continuing the story. Some parts of it worked, but it was, if Grave Encounters was like a 8 out of 10, 7.5, 8 out of 10, Grave Encounters 2 is more like a 6, maybe 5.5. It's passable, it's decent, but it is a drop down in quality. But found footage horror, true crime, faux documentary, that does have me interested. If that's this director's niche, okay, fine. It's not necessarily a bad thing. If they can do it effectively, fine. Let's see what else they've got coming up. My computer does seem to be a bit slow responsive at the moment. I've gone to click onto the next thing. Here we go. Next up in the news, from Alex DiVincenzo. Jam Colette Serra's The Woman in the Yard will stream on Peacock this month. So that's going to be for US fans, not us in the UK, unfortunately. Blumhouse's The Woman in the Yard will make its streaming debut on June 27th on Peacock. The supernatural horror film is directed by Jam Colette Serra, who did Orphan and The Shallows, which are both pretty good. Written by Sam Stefanak, who did F is for Family, which is a animated show, I think. Daniel Deadweiler, Okuwu Okpaukwasili, Peyton Jackson, Estella Kahia, and Russell Hornsby star. When the sun is bright and the wind is still, she comes to you like a sudden chill. Draped in black from head to toe, how she got there you'll never know. With that cryptic warning, an otherworldly woman sends a family into a seemingly inescapable nightmare. Already grieving the death of her husband, Ramona faces a new fear when this mysterious figure appears outside her farmhouse. With the woman continually creeping closer, Romano must protect her children from the chilling grasp of this haunting entity whose unknown intentions are anything but peaceful. The Woman in the Yard reunites Colette Serra and Deadweiler following their recent collaboration on Carry On. I've not seen the trailer for this. I've seen it is available to rent in the UK. It's a Blumhouse feature, so you're either going to get an effective chiller, or it's going to kind of miss the mark. It's Blumhouse isn't like a 100% stamp of approval, stamp of quality, but it also doesn't really push out that much tripe. You're in fairly safe hands with the Blumhouse film, but not 100%. But you got something to cover you. Fran the chat, Dilatov Pass incident, I think. Yeah, that's correct. And Eddie, yep, I am not good at pronouncing names. We've established that. Next up in the news, Alex DiVincenzo also writes, Crystal Lake adds 3 series regulars, including Cameron Scoggins as legacy character Dorf. Cameron Scoggins, David Kessler, and newcomer Gwendolyn Sudstrom have joined Crystal Lake as series regulars. Notably, Scoggins will play Dorf, the police officer portrayed by Ron Milkey in the original Friday the 13th. Kelsey will play Brianna Brooks, and Sudstrom will play Grace. They join the previously announced Linda Cardellini as Mrs. Voorhees and William Catlett as Levon Brooks in the expanded prequel series from A24 and Peacock. Directors for the first 8 episodes are set to include Michael Lennox, Celine Held and Logan George, and Kyon Tran. In the show, Mrs. Voorhees is a mother who gave up a singing career to raise her special needs child, only to take a dark turn when she loses her son, Jason Voorhees. Showrunner Brad Caleb Kane referred to Scoggins as one of the many legacy from the original film to appear in the series, so stay tuned for more updates as the series heads into production. I mean, there is interest. There is interest in this show. As I said before, A24, there is still that kind of feeling of a certain level of quality. It's not quite as home run every time as the formative years were, but generally it's kind of the direction Neon are going in now, where you start to associate that production, that distribution, whatever, with quality. Kind of like back in the day when if it was a Canon film or an Orion film, you knew you were going to get a half-decent action film. Like an 80s film that has Orion or Canon. It's probably going to be pretty entertaining. May not be amazing, but you're going to be entertained with explosions, fist fights, shootouts, that sort of thing. So on a different level of quality now with A24 and Neon, but okay, the names attached. I mean, Linda Cardellini is great, so I'm pretty interested to see where this goes. Horror prequel shows, I don't know. Does it have a really strong back catalogue other than Hannibal? I didn't watch enough of Bates Motel to comment, so I'm not too sure on that one, but I'm going to keep an eye out when it lands in the UK. Next up, Jason Squires, not Jason Squires, fucking hell. I'm seeing Jason too much because of it being Friday the 13th. John Squires writes, Jason Universe coming to Hollywood. Fucking hell, I can't read. Jason Universe coming to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando and Hollywood with original Haunt. So, Halloween Horror Nights kicks off Friday the 13th with the big news that Jason's returning to the event this Halloween season with an official Jason Universe attraction. I really don't like that name. I mean, I don't even care that they've changed the I and E in Universe with the 1 and 3 for 13. But it's just the term of Universe. It just makes me roll my eyes. It'd be like if we had the Halloween Universe. It's not a universe. There's not an extended market there. It's just a film series. Like, you could only say to me at the moment, Jason Universe in terms of the Paramount films and the New Line Cinema films. Because the Paramount films, the Friday the 13th and New Line, are Jason blah. Jason goes to blah. Freddy versus Jason, that sort of thing. But in terms of a Jason Universe, outside of Jason, what? It's not like Marvel where you can go, the Marvel Universe, we got Spider-Man, we got Iron Man, blah blah blah. It's just one of those terms that's such a corporate buzz term that it just automatically makes me roll my eyes a bit. Not to be a downer, because I am going to be going to Halloween Horror Nights, but if it was a Friday the 13th attraction, cool. If it was a Jason Voorhees attraction, cool. It's called Jason Universe. I think fuck off. I'll still go to it, but I'll just be a grumpy prick about it. The all-original Haunted House takes guests back to the summer camp where the gruesome legend was born. The reckoning begins on Friday, August 29th at Universal Orlando Resort and Thursday, September 4th at Universal Studios Hollywood. Watch the trailer below. For 45 years, Jason Voorhees has terrified and thrilled audiences globally, said President of Horror Inc., Robert Barsamian. With Jason Universe at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, we're celebrating that legacy in an immersive way that honours the character's brutal mythology while giving fans the chance to experience it like never before. It's a visceral homecoming for one of horror's most enduring icons. For years, Jason has tormented audiences and is considered one of the most notorious villains in cinematic history. This fall, the twisted creative minds behind Halloween Horror Nights pay homage to the machete-wielding slasher in a horrifying haunted house that reawakens the legend to terrify old and new fans alike. Jason Universe will take Halloween Horror Nights guests on a vengeance tour throughout the summer camp to see where it all began, from the creaking floorboards of Jason's ramshackle cabin to the decaying main lodge and the eerie forest that offers no refuge for its victims. Around every corner, fans will be inundated with infamous killer moments from Jason's heinous homicidal career as he taunts and stalks his victims who learn too late that the legend is real. There's more there, but I'm going to put it on mute and watch this little trailer. I don't like to know too much about the haunts or the parks before going, because I like to just, I like to just be wowed as I'm there. But as this is a video on the horror news, you might as well have a little peek. It appears to be in a bedroom, slowly zooming in on a TV that's showing some creepy imagery. On the background, there's a Camp Crystal Lake image. There's also a Jason hockey mask in the background. The slow zoom into the staticky TV is showing images of Jason, someone, it's a lot of stock images. It's not really a trailer at all. It's basically more of an announcement of the Jason universe, which, I repeat, is a dumb name. I don't like it. Let's have a quick look at what we've got in the chat before we move on. Well, canon wouldn't be good. I'll give you entertaining, Berkeley says. Yeah, entertaining. Gruff, it's so cringy. Why does everything have to be a universe? Steven Universe, Berkeley says. Yeah, it's just... the whole universe thing is really kind of played out, I feel. Marvel, did it to an exceptional level early days, and then everything became... we got to make it a universe. We got to jump on that. DC obviously tried with their Justice League, and it's like, play to your strengths. I'm not saying that they can't do a Justice League, but just don't try and emulate what Marvel are doing successfully. Do what you can do successfully and have done in the past, and who knows. Fran Chat says, all I want from the UK Universal theme park is Halloween Horror Nights in the UK. I think there's a very strong possibility of that. Quite fortunate in that the Universal is going to be down the road from me, so I'll be seeing if they need a bookkeeper or an accountant, anything like that. Not that I'm looking for a job before my employers panic, I should say, but if I could get discount passes, that'd be amazing. Also, Fran says, what's worse, a universe or multiverse? I think multiverse, personally. I think a universe overlapping is played out, sure. But if it's in a world that can work, okay. I mean, in terms of, let's say, a New Line cinema universe where we got a mixture of Freddy and Jason, that kind of overlap, that crossover. If you looked at crossover as a universe, okay, sure. Sometimes it can work. Freddy versus Jason, some people hate it. I quite enjoyed it. Alien versus Predator, didn't really like it. Entertaining as a little action film, but as a huge fan of Alien and a fan of Predator, it wasn't good. But in terms of a crossover universe, whatever. But multiverse, for me, I'm not a fan of multiverse. That was one of the things where I started falling off of my fandom with the Marvel films, was where we've got, this multiverse. Oh, there's a different version here, there's a different version there. Like, I never liked that in the comics, and I certainly wasn't a big fan of the films that focused on that, so dropped off then. Eddie the Beast, Alton Towers is supposed to be getting a Halloween Horror Nights fan, but that's a rumour I heard. Gruffles says multiverse is worse. Berkeley says, annoyingly, I think Gunn could do a universe well, but it's too late, people are sick of it. Fran says a horrorverse. Yeah, horrorverse works well, actually. Yeah, I mean, there are things, like there's a thing that comes around regularly around this area called The Howl, which we talked about actually on the show last year following me going to it. I've got a few people joining into the joining in viewing. Please, feel free to join into the chat, and if you haven't already, give the channel a follow. maybe give it a subscribe. Let's see how we can go with this. The Howl, yeah, it's basically a setup where you have different buildings that have been turned into haunted horror haunts. A clown-themed one, like for a circus, a futuristic-themed one, a butcher's thing, a haunted house. Halloween Horror Nights is that, but to the nth degree, where you've got licensed properties. When I went to Orlando, I had Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Stranger Things, which I didn't get to see because the queue was huge, and Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, which is an hour-long queue, hour and a half long queue. My legs were just shagged. Not literally. My legs were shagged being in that queue for that long, but it was worth it because the house was just really, 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 really good. So it's very, very effective. And I think even if you're not someone who would generally normally go to a theme park because you don't like rides, it's not like that. It's more just, you're going into a house for 5 to maybe 10 minutes tops, going from room to room, just being freaked out by actors jumping out at you. It's effective. What can I say? Let's move on with the horror news. The Toxic Avenger has set its UK premiere at Edinburgh Film Festival. John Squires writes, "It's the summer of Toxie and the wait is almost over for Macon Blair's The Toxic Avenger reboot, which is bringing unrated mayhem to theatres August 29th, 2025. A fresh take on Troma's cult classic, The Toxic Avenger will be released in theatres fully uncut and unrated, and the film's upcoming UK premiere has been announced today. Toxic Avenger will make its UK premiere at the Edinburgh Film Festival this August, Deadline reports, as the closing night film of the festival's Midnight Madness strand. This year's Edinburgh Film Festival runs from August 14th to August 20th. Signature Entertainment will release The Toxic Avenger in the UK and Ireland beginning August 29th. So there's more there, but this is a film that's had such a weird run to release, where it was finished quite a while ago and it was just shelved for some reason. No one really knew why. Questions were coming out as to, well, is it just really bad? Was it made as a tax break? What is going on with this film? Why has it not come out yet? We've got a good cast. We've got Peter Dinklage as the Toxic Avenger. We've got Elijah Wood as some creepy kind of penguin-looking chap. But it is now coming out, and there seems to be a fair amount of buzz about it. I've seen The Toxic Avenger, the first film. We watched it on a watch party quite a while ago. Did not like it. I didn't like it at all. And I've seen some Troma films, but Troma is just a bit too gonzo for me. I'm not really, there's Basket Case, the first one, which has this kind of like low budget gonzo sensibility to it. But then below that, in terms of what I can just sit through, is The Toxic Avenger. I didn't like it, which is weird to me because I remember liking the Toxic Crusaders cartoon series as a kid and thinking, I didn't realise that this was based on a horror film. And now after watching the first film, we're like, how the hell was this licensed into a kids' TV series, kids' cartoon? It's absolutely baffling. Fran the chat says the animated series Toxic Crusaders is getting a new 2D beat 'em up game. I mean, if that lands on some sort of PlayStation Plus or something, then I'll be keeping an eye out for that. Next up in the horror news, we've got a couple more things to go through. Jaws airing on NBC for the 50th anniversary with a new Steven Spielberg introduction. John Squires writes, NBC is celebrating the 50th, yes, you heard that right, anniversary of Jaws with a special presentation of the classic film next week that will feature a new introduction from Steven Spielberg, Variety reports. The 1975 film will air across 3 hours beginning at 8 p.m. ET on Friday, June 20th, which Variety notes is the exact 50th anniversary date of when it was released. What else can you expect from the Jaws 50th anniversary this summer? A new documentary titled Jaws at 50, The Definitive Inside Story, comes to National Geographic on July 10th, followed by Hulu and Disney Plus on July 11th, while a 50th anniversary 4K Steelbook release is set for June 17th. Special events will also be taking place on Martha's Vineyard all summer long. Variety notes, NBC Universal is also coordinating with Major League Baseball for an in-stadium activations around the country. Themed home games for the San Francisco Giants, New York Yankees, and Philadelphia Phillies will take place between June 20th and 22nd and feature themed home games with custom scoreboard content, exclusive fan giveaways, and more. beginning on June 15th, Peacock will launch a water-themed Trouble in the Water section that includes all 4 Jaws films alongside Piranha, 47 Meters Down, Night Swim, and more. Universal is home to the biggest movies in the world. It doesn't get any bigger than Jaws, said Jenny Storms, Chief Marketing Officer, NBC Universal Television and Streaming. We want to celebrate 50 years of this enduring film that has captured the public imagination for generations by bringing it to audiences at home in all the ways they love to watch. So, there we go. If fans of Jaws, you're getting a 50th anniversary screening with a Steven Spielberg introduction. Fans of physical media, there's a 50th anniversary 4K Steelbook, which is more of what I'm interested in, being released this June. I do enjoy a good Steelbook. I do enjoy a good 4K Steelbook. We were going to do a little first time watch review, but we may save that for a future one, of The Black Phone. Picked up the 4K Steelbook of that, and I'd forgotten how good that film is. It really is good, and it has got me even more hyped for The Black Phone 2 when that comes out. But yeah, I don't actually own Jaws. I've never owned a copy of Jaws, which is quite baffling because it is a classic film. Fran the chat also mentions Tales of the Crypt got a cartoon too. Gruff mentions the 80s was a strange time for cartoons. Rambo and Robocop both had animated shows too. Yeah, I remember hearing that there was meant to be an Aliens animated series, but I think it got canned, probably because it's based on a property of vicious, terrifying monsters in space ripping through people's heads and implanting embryotic parasites that burst through their chests. Might have something to do with it. Toxic Crusaders was definitely the 90s, Berkeley says. I'm sorry, there's only one Jaws movie, Gruff says. Sequels don't exist. I don't mind Jaws 2. It isn't as good as the first, but I don't mind it. It had a couple of decent kills in it. The 3D in Jaws 3D is awful, and I've never seen the 4th one. So, as far as I know, there's only 3. Fran says, yes, went for 3 seasons in the early 90s. They called it Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Gruff says, will Victoria be interested? Yeah, I mean, I imagine she probably already owns a copy of Jaws. She loves Jaws. She's a huge Jaws fan, actually. And yeah, she's a massive Jaws fan, actually. What am I talking about? But yeah, I imagine in terms of physical media purchases, that would be one that would be approved of. There's none that aren't approved of, I should say. But in terms of, that's one that I think we'd both be watching fairly regularly. So yeah. And Berkeley's has a very good question. How did Jurassic Park never get a 90s cartoon? Yeah, I think Jurassic Park now has one of those modern, to use the term, cartoons, where it's all digitally animated. Like, to me, that's not a cartoon. I know that's Old Man Shouts at Clouds, but it's like hand-drawn animation. It just looks better than CGI to me. I know it's archaic, but yeah, it's just not the same. Now, this is interesting for fans of horror novels. Next up in the news from Alex DeVincenzo, Severance actress Daikon Lockman joins Rob Savage's Incidents Around the House adaptation. Daikon Lockman, who did Severance, has been cast in the as-yet untitled adaptation of Incidents Around the House, the 2024 horror novel by Bird Box author Josh Malerman. She joins Jessica Chastain and Jay Duplass in the supernatural horror film for Universal. Rob Savage is directing from a script by Nathan Elston. The story centres on an 8-year-old Bella who lives in a home strained by her parents' troubled marriage, only to see her life further upended by a sinister entity she calls Other Mommy. When this malevolent presence emerges from her closet asking, "Can I go inside your heart?" Bella refuses, but soon Other Mommy's manifestations become increasingly aggressive, threatening the safety of Bella's family. Atomic Monster Blumhouse produces in association with Malerman's Spinner Black Yarn. James Wan is producing with Alania Glashan overseeing for his Atomic Monster. Executive producers include Savage, Malerman, Michael Clear, Judson Scott, Macdara Callahan, and Ryan Lewis. I'm actually listening to this on Audible at the moment. It's a book that my sister had mentioned to me a little while ago that she was excited for when it was coming out. I think she has bought the book, maybe a Kindle version, I'm not sure. But I'd taken a little break from Audible because I hadn't been using it for a while. But I ended up getting the Audible for this, and it is pretty creepy. The whole book is told from the perspective of a little kid, which does add another layer of creepiness to it because of her description of things in terms of this creature that's like, oh, I'm your other mummy, I'm also out to look out for you, but actually I kind of want to possess you, I kind of want to be reincarnated in your body, so let me, there's a real sort of underlying terror there. But on to the next bit of news, which has got me, not to be graphic, popping a horror bee. I know that's a really horrible term to use. Video game fans, survival horror fans, this is big. Not the horror bee. Konami I should say, pronounce it properly. Konami reveals Silent Hill remake currently in development from Blooper Team. Let's fucking go. Mike Wilson writes, my God, I didn't even see this in the headlines. I happened to be scrolling through Bloody Disgusting to collate the news, and I saw this in the corner of my eye on the side, and I was like, what, the OG Silent Hill? What, as in my favourite game in the series, the one that I've always been like, can we get an updated version of this, even if it's just a HD skin on the PS1, layout? Damn, son! Konami dropped more news on Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater and Silent Hill F, which does look pretty creepy, during the Konami press start early this morning, offering up not only an extended look at a new online multiplayer mode for Snake Eater, a new developer diary for Silent Hill F, but also teasing another remake, the original Silent Hill. During the broadcast, producers Noriaki Okamura and Yoji... Sorry, I was just catching the wires under my table. And Yoji Coloricado revealed more information about the Snake vs. Monkey and Snake vs. Bomberman game modes coming to Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. The latter brings a new in-house collaboration for the Bomberman franchise, introducing gameplay mechanics from the Bomberman series to the Xbox Series version of the game. Meanwhile, a new online multiplayer... Fucking hell, okay. We're not on about Snake Eater here. As much as I do like the original Metal Gear Solid games, like the first two, really. I didn't really like the third one, I'm going to be honest. As for Silent Hill F producer, Motai Okamoto, scriptwriter Ryu Kishi07, and members of Neobards Entertainment gave players an in-depth look at the production of the game. Expanding upon last week's Silent Hill transmission, the group focuses on the game's full-on turn towards Japanese horror. According to Neoboard's game director Al Wang, with this major thematic shift, it was absolutely critical for us to not merely copy, but really understand what the key atmospheric elements that define the classic Silent Hill titles were in order to evolve them for Silent Hill F. Silent Hill F releases September 25 for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC via Steam and Epic Games Store. At the end of the Silent Hill F presentation, the familiar strings of Akira Yamaoka's Silent Hill played, as it was revealed that the 1999 classic would indeed be getting a remake, coming from the Silent Hill 2 remake's Blooper Team. No other info was revealed other than the remake was in development. Fuck yes. Yas, 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 yas. Let's just have a look in the chat before I continue. Gruff. I wonder if the Konami video game was part of it too, as that had some strange alien designs, plus Ripley looked nothing like Sigourney Weaver. I think I've maybe missed some stuff about the various different alien games. Fran, yes, I've watched a fair few video game trailers the last few days after Summer Game Fest. There's a brand new Resi announced too. Yes, Resident Evil 9 returning to Raccoon City. Yes, I don't really know who the main character is. I'm not too sure. I probably should, because I believe it's a returning character to some extent. But Silent Hill, the original, man, that was one of my first horror games. I remember, I've maybe talked before on the show, my lovely mother, best, she's the best. She got me my first PlayStation. So I'd had at Christmas a Sega Mega Drive 2. Also had a Nintendo Game Boy, and they were great. Got Nintendo 64, which I guess was maybe before the PlayStation or after, I'm not too sure. But I remember we went and got a PlayStation, and it was a cheap one because my parents, weren't huge with money, didn't have big money. But I got a PlayStation. It was a cracked PlayStation, so it could basically play CDR. You could basically play copy discs, so you could essentially copy, if that was your thing, a video game and play it, and it worked. But with it came a bundle of these copy discs, one of which was Silent Hill, the other one was, I believe, Resident Evil, the original. But Silent Hill was the one that stuck out to me. You know, I later on then got into Resident Evil 2. I remember buying that and also getting the Game Genie, which you could cheat in games, which was great. Obviously not the way it's intended to be played, but Silent Hill, I just remember being like, this game is like my vision. What a nightmare would look like played out in a game. Being in a world which looks kind of like our world, but not. It's distorted. There's fog everywhere, which was a development trick, but also disorientates you. You can't really see too far ahead of you. Hidden in the fog are these nightmarish creatures that have disproportionate limbs. They move in ways that humans shouldn't move. It was just incredible, and I enjoyed Silent Hill 2. I've been playing, although I haven't played it for a little while, the Silent Hill 2 remake that Blooper Team did, and it is very good. I think it fell into that trap that some games do for me, where especially horror games, sometimes I need a little bit of a break from it if I've been playing it most nights, because it can just be a bit heavy going. I then play other things. I then play other things for a bit too long, or play onto other things, and then by that point, I can't remember where I was at. I know where I'm at in Silent Hill 2, but it's basically just pure darkness, and it's quite scary. I'm at the prison, which I think is about 2/3 into the game, maybe 3/4 into the game. Yeah, it's a bit scary, so I haven't played any more of it. But Silent Hill F, I think, does look like like J horror nightmare fuel. I'm down for that. And Silent Hill, a remake of the original, holy shit. Cannot wait. But Ghouls and Fiends, that is it for the horror news. It's also drink time for me. That was the news. Ho, 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 ho.
Hang up on me again, I'll cut you like a fish, understand?
Oh, I drank too much Bud Light just then. Right, we're going to do our first, our only solo review. I definitely need to sort the layout of my desk out. My quick action buttons are now sort of hidden behind a dock, so a game console dock. So I'm like, I'm going to be doing some desk orientation this weekend, so I actually tied it up, because if you saw my workstation / Ministry of Horror HQ desk, and if you had any level of OCD, you'd think, what the hell, how do you work in this? I don't know. I find space for things. I don't know. Anyway, apologies, should give a headphone warning. The Insidious music is a wee bit loud. Gruff also says Silent Hill and Resident Evil games on the horizon. Yeah, it's a good year for horror gaming so far, is what it looks like. There's a game which is about £20 that's on PlayStation. I can't remember what it's called, but it's always on the home screen on the store, and that looks pretty creepy. Oh god, it's not Post Trauma, which is the one I picked up for cheap on the Xbox a little while ago. Oh dearie me, I'm going to have to Google it now because I'm not going to remember. PS5 horror games 2025. It's not Hell Is Us. No, it's none of those. Not Silent Hill F. Not Dying Like the Beast. No. I should just look on the PlayStation Store. PS5 Store. Let's just have a look, because I'm gonna forget about it otherwise. Let's search horror. No, not Dead by Daylight. No, it's none of those. Oh, it's just gonna be things called horror, isn't it? Fuck's sake. Right, let's go to PS5. Or I should just go to games. Games, PS5. We will get to reviews in a minute. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, you pretty little heads. No, it's not Last of Us. No, it's not that. Where's like they're just new releases? What the Right, recent releases. Oh, it's not going to be bloody there, is it? Recent releases. Right, we'll just forget this moment because I'm not seeing it anywhere. But there is a horror game that appears on the there we go, horror section. But after all this, it's going to be some real basic ass title. It's going to have like awful reviews or something. I'm going to have wasted everybody's time. Oh my god, the PlayStation website is just way too much scrolling. Right, let's go store. New releases. No. Top 10 games. New games. Right. Here we go. View all. This is taking way longer than I thought it would. It's not Onimusha 2, which I do want to play, but I've still not finished the original. I've finished the original back in the day, but not recently. No, it's not Stalker. It's not Amber Alert. It's none of these. I'm going to give up in a minute and just get to the review. It's none of those. It's not Gore Doctor. I think that is a fairly recent one. I wonder if it's not even out yet. I wonder if it's in the coming soon section and that's why I can't find it. Anyway, it's got a black and white cover art. Never give up, Tez. Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate the support. Oh, dearie me. I'm now going through the absolute dirge of new games that come out on the console that just get hidden away because they look like absolute tosh. It's not called Trauma. It's not called... Oh, I don't know. Can't find it. Let's go store and buy games. No. Okay, I'm giving up. Or is it pre-orders? If it's under pre-orders, then I'm going to be pissed off that I've spent so much time on that. No, not Silent Hill F. No, it's not Metal Gear. No, it's not that. Yep, I can't find it. I will have to admit defeat. Recent PS5 horror games. No, not Tormented Souls, not Hell Is Us. None of those. None of those. Not Unholy, that's not recent. Right, let's leave that. Let's get to our review. So, I was fortunate to get a little copy of a film called Cannibal Mukbang. Cannibal Mukbang stars Nate Wise, April Consalo, and Clavon Kalowitz, and is available now on digital platforms from 9th of June. Cannibal. Any animal that eats its own kind. Mukbang. A video, usually posted online, featuring a person eating large quantities of food, often while talking to the audience as if sharing a meal with them. There you go. Shy and looking for love, Mark quickly becomes smitten with the outgoing and mysterious Ash, who somehow, much to his surprise, reciprocates the attraction. But as his feelings for her intensify, so does his unexpected submersion into Ash's biggest love, the wild world of mukbanging, and with it, lots of bloodshed. Cannibal Mukbang's director Amy Coog's debut feature film. It explores our relationships with food, sexuality, and revenge, and asks, how far would you go in the name of love? Amy wrote the script for Cannibal Mukbang while experiencing a period of disordered eating and ending toxic relationships. This disordered eating led her down a mukbanging rabbit hole. Cannibal Mukbang is a female-driven story, directed, written, produced, and edited by women. Production took place in New York, New Jersey, and Florida with a small crew of indie filmmakers. A portion of the footage was shot on 8mm film. Okay, so, as mentioned before, when I heard the title and I saw a quick trailer for it, I thought, oh, okay. This looks pretty grimy, pretty low budget. Um, but there's a charm to it, and it's got this indie sensibility with its music, this kind of garage rock theme with a bit of lo-fi beats interspersed into it, and there is this 90s low budget ethereal haze to how the film's been edited, how it's been shot. We're introduced to Mark, who is, as mentioned, shy, looking for love. He's very mundane. He's very wooden, but I don't think that's necessarily the actor's wooden. I think it's just how the character is portrayed. He's lived quite a sheltered life. He had a pretty bad car crash, which has left a metal plate in his head, and he just kind of struggles really to form relationships and has quite a mundane job. But he meets Ashley, who Ash, I should say, who is kind of the complete opposite. There's this confidence there, there's this exuberance, there's also a bit of a mysterious energy to her. And as the film progresses, we get a bit more of an insight into her world of mukbang. She does video, she's an online content creator who does mukbang. I'm familiar with the term, but I can't say I've ever watched a mukbang. I've seen is it Beard Meets Food? I haven't actually seen him for a while, but for a while he kept appearing in my For You page on YouTube as this beardy guy who's really trim, but he eats a ton of food and does like eating challenges. And I don't know if that's classed as a mukbang, if that's just competitive eating, but I know that there's people like that Nick Avocado, who was really skinny, and then he started doing mukbangs and put on a ton of weight, and he's now all of a sudden somehow lost it all. And I don't really understand. I don't know if that's an Ozempic thing or if that was a pre-recorded a ton of videos when he was heavy and then didn't record anything while he was losing weight. I don't know, but I know of that world to a very limited extent. But with this film, we start to understand that it isn't just any old food that she eats, that there is an element of revenge and an element of a hunter and prey situation in this film. It does have a little bit of nudity in it. It does have. It's not super heavy on the gore. There's some moments of body horror, sure. There's some moments of transformations, which you don't know if they're hallucinations or they're actually happening. So there's a little bit of a psychological horror element going on there. But it does work quite cohesively. We're introduced to Mark's brother, who's like the polar opposite of him. He seems really chauvinistic, but it's just, he's a nice guy, but he just seems a bit of a prick, and he's aware of that. That dynamic between them does actually work quite well. I quite like that. It's a film that I mentioned in terms of my initial impressions, because it's the sort of film where I think if you just to look at the artwork and the name of the film, you may very well scroll past it. You may very well assume it's like The Toxic Avenger. But no, there's so much more to it than that. I actually had a pretty good time with this. My expectations were kind of low, but I do think it's actually worth a watch for sure. I'm going to give Cannibal Mukbang 6.5 out of 10. It's available now on digital platforms. I'd recommend giving it a go, actually. Certainly surprised me, this one. Fran in the chat says, is this similar to Fresh? No. So Fresh, there was a bit of Stockholm Syndrome. There was the bit of the imprisonment, captor. With this, it's more of an infatuation and how love can be blinding. Yeah, but I guess there's a sort of a similar sort of crossover in terms of the cannibalistic element. But no, it's quite different, actually. Quite different. I enjoyed it.
Start this fucking war!
Okay, we're going to have to adjust the cameras. We knew we probably would have to, but welcome to 90 Slave Fiance via a review beforehand. Hello, Victoria.
Hello, horror fans. Great to see you all. Sorry that I look like a midget down here, but it's very nice to
use
meet
that
you.
term.
Oh, well, all right. Sorry. Anyway, I look minuscule compared to you, but never mind. Hi, everybody. Great to see you all. Yeah, welcome to this week's live episode. This is my first time being live, so forgive me.
Let us know in the chat if you can hear us both well, because if you haven't seen 90 Slave Fiance on Patreon before, we've previously done it switching around this microphone that I use between us. It's annoying and it doesn't always catch the best audio, so we have set up a microphone on Victoria. Hopefully I've got it set up okay, but just let us know if the audio sounds weird or someone's really quiet or something like that. Let us know in the live chat. So, Victoria, before we get into proper 90 Slave Fiance territory, which is where we talk through a horror classic that you've never seen before and get your thoughts, we went to the cinema and we have a review to do.
We do.
What did we go and watch this week?
It was called Dangerous Animals, and I was missold, everybody. The gentleman to my left told me I was going to see a creature feature, and never one to shy away from an opinion. I have some pretty strong ones about this one, which are mainly that it's not a creature feature. That being said, you'll be pleased to know it is a great movie, so I'm looking forward to telling you a little bit more about it.
So my mic has a bit of an echo. Victoria sounds all right. Okay, I imagine I'm probably picking up on Victoria's mic. Don't know what I can do about that. It's all it's all good fun. We learn as we go, but
We're experimenting, dear.
we're
It's fine.
experimenting. Not in that way. Yeah. So as per usual with the reviews, we'll talk a little bit about the plot. We'll talk about what we liked, what we maybe didn't like, and we'll kind of get to like an average score for the film. So, Dangerous Animals, 2025 survival horror film directed by Sean Byrne and written by Nick Leppard. Stars Hassie Harrison, Josh Houston, Rob Carlton, Ella Newton, Liam Grenk, and Jay Courtney. Jay Courtney has been in a few different things, but the main thing I remember him for is I think he was in one of the Terminator films, one of the later ones. And was he like Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad, something like that? But, you know, he's had some performances, some good, some not so good. Anyway, talk a little bit about the plot, and then we'll get into our thoughts. So, tourists Greg and Heather visit Tucker's Experience, a shark cage tourist attraction run by the eccentric boat captain Tucker. While riding out into the ocean, Tucker remarks on how he survived a shark attack as a child, which scarred him and changed his view of the species. After the two participate...
Can I interrupt a second?
Yes.
Should we tell them there's going to be spoilers in this?
Well, no, because we're not getting spoilers. We're just talking about the opening of the film.
Oh, I think there's quite a big spoiler there, but sorry, carry on.
You can tell she doesn't listen to the show because this is how all the reviews start.
Sorry.
Changes his view on the species. After the two participate in a cage dive, Tucker suddenly kills Greg and abducts Heather. We then are introduced to Zephyr, an American drifter who reluctantly helps real estate agent Moses start his car. The two bond over their love of surfing and later have a one-night stand. Although Moses hopes their relationship turns into something romantic, Zephyr drives away later that night without him to go for a surf. And there she encounters Tucker. So that's kind of our introduction into the key characters in the film. What was your kind of feelings watching this, Victoria?
So the reason I was mentioning the spoilers is because obviously I didn't know anything about the movie going into it, and so I assumed, like I said, that we were going to go and see a creature feature. So I was expecting it to be going along the lines of something goes wrong with the sharks, because obviously I love a creature feature, and the setup of going out on the shark swimming thing is a fairly common, you know, trope in those movies. So the fact that he then killed the guy instantly told me, okay, this is not what I thought I was coming to see. Not necessarily a bad thing, just threw me a bit because I realised, okay, this isn't going the direction I thought it was going. So at first I was a bit confused because I didn't know what was coming. And I would say throughout the rest of the film, I was pretty terrified. In a good way. I think it's a great and different take on what I would class as a serial killer movie.
Yeah, so when the opening happened, which Victoria wondered if that was a bit of a spoiler, but to me, if it happens in the opening 5 minutes, and if in the trailers you have an idea of who some of the characters are, I don't consider that a spoiler per se. She turns to me and she goes, "Did you know that was going to happen?" And I was like, "No, dear, I've not seen this film before."
I did do that, that is true.
I'm seeing this at the same time as you. Yeah, so it's very much a serial killer at sea film, and his weapon of choice predominantly is sharks. What I would kind of say initially about this film, the only actor I was familiar with was Jay Courtney for a few small roles he's had here and there in some big Hollywood films. This is definitely his best role to date that I've seen him in. He is, well, both him and Hassie Harrison, who plays Zephyr, are really incredible leads in this film, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I really enjoyed the dynamic between the two. I think there's just quite a lot to enjoy about this film. The soundtrack, well, both the soundtrack and the score were really, really effective. The score added this level of terror to proceedings, and interspersed in that was this kind of garage rock, classic rock soundtrack throughout, which gave you a good introduction to the sorts of characters you're going to have. But then you contrast that with I wouldn't say Jaws-esque music, but there was a real tension in the score that alleviated the scenes when characters may be getting put into peril, shark-related. I think music-wise is incredibly effective, and
I agree.
Performance-wise as well.
Yeah, and I think, I'm so sorry I've forgotten his name, but the actor who was the killer.
Jay Courtney.
Thank you, Jay Courtney. I genuinely think this is an exceptional performance from him. I think there are echoes of Buffalo Bill in the performance, and also of the guy from Wolf Creek, whose name I've currently forgotten.
Mick.
Thank you, Mick. Sorry, I'm really bad at names. It's a common problem in my life.
What's my name?
Took me a long time to learn that
Jez.
too. Or you, normally at home.
Or you.
But yeah, genuinely, I thought that was a really brilliant performance. I think he built tension really effectively, and he did a great job of that balance between madness and calculated. Because he definitely is mad, of course, but I thought he navigated that line really, really effectively, which I think is hard to do as an actor and not overplay it. And I thought he did that very, very well, as to not take it too far where it became cartoonish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that the whole script was balanced very well. Like, for a film that's predominantly in one location, and that is in a boat at sea, that's something where I can sometimes find with films. There was a period of COVID films where it was very apparent films were made during COVID because they were just in one location with two cast members. And so that made me a little kind of burnt out of films that are just purely in one location. But for this, it's not all set on a boat, but the majority of the action is happening there. It does a great job of building up these moments of tension, these escape attempts, and this kind of cat and mouse game. And there's moments where you sort of think, oh God, it's finally over, or they're finally getting away, or something. But not always the case. It's done quite well.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I said to you that there are moments where I felt that was overdone. But I think on the whole, yeah, they were very, very effective. And there's a question in the chat from Fran. Hi, Fran. Fran's asking, is it set in Australia? It is, and actually I want to talk about that, so thank you, Fran, for giving me an in into that, because one of the things I said as soon as we left the cinema was this has real echoes of Rogue, of Wolf Creek, of Talk to Me. There's definitely something about that Aussie horror genre which I really like. I think there's just something different about them, and there's a way of them being portrayed, the way they come across, even the kind of choices they make cinematically. I think there's something about an Aussie horror which I'm sure you can talk about more eloquently than I can, but I definitely really enjoyed that. And yeah, I think he does use his real accent. Would you agree?
Yeah. So this, when we came out of the cinema, I kind of said that this very much falls into that category of you never want to be disparaging and say that a film is under a subgenre based on where it's from. I mean, I guess you could say like with J horror, with K horror, etc. Japanese and Korean. But with Australian horror, there just is this gritty realism there
That's
that
the word, realism, yeah.
that kind of just stands out. I mean, when I think of Australian horror, there's of course Wolf Creek, which was a bit too. It was a bit too gritty and cruel for me, but there is a cruelness there is a cruelness with Australian horror. I mean, if people haven't seen it, you have to watch The Loved Ones because that is intense. That's incredibly Australian. It's intense and it is very cruel, but it is a brilliant slice of horror and one of my favourites from late 23, early 24. I think it was released. Talk to Me. I'm very excited to see what the Philippou brothers do with Bring Her Back, which is out in America now, but it doesn't come out in the UK for like another month, which is absolute bullshit. But Australian horror has its own pocket in the horror world, and I don't really think I've seen anything that has been subpar in that genre.
Yeah.
So, Victoria. If you had to give a score out of 10, what would you give Dangerous Animals?
I would give it. I probably should have thought about this before the show, shouldn't I? I'm going to give it an 8.75.
Wow. Okay. 8.75. I'd give it a solid 8. So I guess our weighted average would be 8.5. Because I mean, for me, it's kind of got everything for it. Really, great score, great action, great acting, violent where it needs to be. It's not gratuitous. I think the moments with the shark attacks are done very well because shark attack films, or films I should say, with shark attacks in them, can either be very effective, can take a less is more approach, which can be effective, or can take the less is more approach and be a little bit derivative, or be a little bit over the top. There's quite a variety of quality when it comes to films with shark attacks in them. But for this, I think it did a good job of building those moments when we do see just the aftermath, and then when we do actually see something pretty gnarly happening. It does things in quite a realistic way, I felt, at least. Compared to some, there was a shark attack film from a few years ago. I can't for the life of me remember it now, but it was effective until you realised that all of the deaths were someone floating on the water, shark fin approaches, they get pulled under a couple of times before then blood emerges on top of the water. Can't remember which film it was, but there was one where that just happened to everyone. But for this, I kind of think it's got it all, really. So we were in quite a silent screening, really. We were basically, until about 10 minutes in, the only people in the cinema.
We were.
Which, hey, why can't it be like that all the time?
It was weird, actually. I was kind of waiting for everyone else to show up. It's a common joke in this house, everybody, that my lovely host here insists on getting to the cinema early so we don't miss the trailers. I was that person who always showed up to the cinema literally like the minutes before the film was about to start. And one of the first times we ever went to the cinema, he wanted to leave, and I'm like, why? The film doesn't start for ages. And he was like, yeah, but the trailers. And it's an ongoing joke in our house. So I wasn't surprised to get there and it be empty. But then when the trailers finished and the film was starting and the room was still empty, I was like, oh. So don't leave empty cinemas. Go see this movie. I entirely think this is worth a visit to the cinema, and definitely to see it in cinema. I think actually it's very effective in the cinema, and it's highly worth going to see. So yeah, I really recommend you're viewing it. And also I would be really keen in the Discord chat to hear what you guys think of the ending once you've seen it. Of course, we can't talk about that here, but I would really like to talk about the ending as and when you guys have seen it. So please give me a shout in the chat when you've seen it and we can talk about that, because I would really like you guys' views.
What's the graph just written in there?
I saw it. I'm sorry, Graph. I'm sorry. I do enjoy the trailers now that I watch them. I just personally had actually calculated how long the trailers were so I could miss them before. But I blame, chronic efficiency in my life. All minutes are precious.
So, all minutes are precious, God. So, the positives with the trailers are twofold. One, she got even more hyped for the new Jurassic World upon seeing the latest trailer in the cinema. And two, she's now having second thoughts about seeing 28 Years Later with me. She was very hyped about it until watching the trailer in the cinema, and now you think it might be a bit scary.
I've got to be honest, I actually saw that trailer again on TikTok because, our phones listen, guys, right? We know this. And of course, it heard me talking about it, so it then put it in my feed. And I'm sorry, I do believe that, by the way. I'm okay with it, but I believe it. But I watched it again, even on my phone, and I was terrified. I don't know if I'm brave enough to go see that. At the very least, it might be a case of me taking my horror cushion along with me to the cinema and mortify you even more. But I don't know if I can see that without my cushion.
I mean, I'm pretty sure our little puppy Pippin has destroyed that cushion. Pippin is not the pooch of horror. He is actively terrified of horror films, which brings us on nicely to our proper 90 Slay Fiance section. So, 90 Slay Fiance, as mentioned earlier on, the first half of the show is where once a month, ideally, we watch a horror film, which is a classic of the genre that I have seen before, because I've seen quite a few classics in the horror genre, I'm not going to lie.
It's your job.
I like horror films, would you believe it? And but they're films
No, I hadn't noticed it.
No, and they're films that Victoria hasn't seen before, potentially. We've done The Incredible Mulholland Drive by David Lynch. We've done Blair Witch Project. And now, with today being Friday the 13th, Victoria has finally seen, and she won't be able to hear this effect, but I'll play it for you at home.
Oh, not the bloody sound effect.
Yeah. She has now seen the 1980 original entry, Friday the 13th. So, what do you want to do first, Victoria? Do you want me to talk a little bit about the film, or do you want to just go straight into your thoughts on Friday the 13th?
I mean, I feel they've seen it, so we probably don't need to dwell on it any more than we have to. Shall I start with the positives? Because I do feel, I heard you saying earlier on that I'm concerned that the fans are going to think I just hate all the films. And I'm really sorry, but I didn't enjoy this one either. So I'll start with the positives, because I really do want to try and be positive. I'm sorry, Graf, I've just seen the chat. I know, I'm really sorry. So, positives. I love the 80s, and I loved the 80s-ness of it. The hair, the clothes, all of that. It was great. I think that, number one, as I think you've already told them, I absolutely hated the soundtrack. That sound effects just it really irritated my brain. You know, like when something just offends your ear. I hated it. And I just kept waiting for something to happen. Sex the yeah, I mean, okay, that was fun, I guess. I mean, I think maybe I'm missing the point, and I said this to you while it was on. I think I don't understand this genre, and this kind of no. I'm sorry, I've got to say, Eddie's just said in the chat that ASMR would not go over well with me. You are so right, my friend. I absolutely hate that stuff. When it comes up on Tinternet, I get upset and turn it off. Yeah, I hate it. Going back to the film, I think what it is for me is it's obvious what's about to happen. So, Gruff in the chat was talking about the sex and the drugs. Well, the minute they're having sex, you know they're going to die, because that's happening in all of these movies. And therefore it's obvious. And the kills are good, I suppose. I mean, some of the kills are quite inventive. That thing with the arrow through the bed, that was pretty cool. But
this is interesting, actually. So we've got a few things that Fran has mentioned in the chat. So she mentioned that I could have given her the remake, actually, Jason, Not His Mum, plus Jared Padalecki. I think she'd have liked Jared Padalecki.
okay. We'll try that, Fran.
So you've never watched Supernatural, have you?
No.
Jared Padalecki has Spencer Reid from Criminal Minds hair,
Ooh.
and is like 6'5".
Ding, ding, ding.
So there we go. So she probably would like it. She'd probably like Supernatural, actually. That's an entertaining Monster of the Week show, so she'd probably get on well with that. I thought show her the original, because the idea was we were going to watch at least the original and Friday the 13th Part 2, because I felt, well, you've got to see Jason in it, and one of your questions at the very end was, well, how can there be more films if she's just had her head cut off? And I was like, shut up, the film hasn't finished yet. But by the end of the film, you may have got the impression that the idea of watching another one may not have been that appealing to Victoria. So we've only watched the one, but yes, Jason does become the killer in the sequels.
I'm not going to ask the obvious question. I will watch it, everybody. I will commit to watching it. And we actually have another date already in the diary for the next edition of this segment. So I will commit to watching the remake and the second one or whatever it is before the next show so that I can talk to you about what I think of those. I didn't hate this. I didn't hate this. Mulholland Drive, I genuinely hated. I didn't hate this. I just didn't get it. And I don't understand what we get out of watching it. So I would love to hear what the...
Well done, Gruff. Bravo. Gruff's just said, Vix, for the record, I recently got the 1 to 8 box set, which we've got downstairs, and made Carol Ann watch all of them. I do not get the impression I'm going to have that luxury. I've also got the 4K of Jason Goes to Hell, which is part 9. I get the impression we're not going to get past part 2 if we do.
Well, let's see. I mean, I will watch them. I just would like to, I genuinely would like to understand what people like about them. So if people in the chat would like to tell me, I would really like to know what it is that you enjoy about it, because I don't feel like I get it. And I'd like to. I'd like to learn. Is it supposed to be funny? Is that, like Evil Dead? I think I said this before. Evil Dead, I get, is supposed to be funny. I don't personally find it funny, but at least I understand what the goal is. With this, I didn't understand the goal. Was I supposed to be scared? Was I supposed to be bored? Was I supposed to be funny? Like, what's the goal? Is it...
Fran mentioned a good question in the chat. So you don't like the...
No.
Did you not mind the flashbulb sound in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
The original?
Yeah.
I don't remember being bothered by it, but that film genuinely frightened me. So maybe I was too busy being scared to notice it. I don't actually remember being aware of it, to be perfectly honest. I have to rewatch it. I enjoy that. I'll watch that again, no problem.
Okay, so I guess another positive, you liked Kevin Bacon. You mentioned that.
I did, actually, and I had never seen a Kevin Bacon movie from that era. So that was fun. And yeah, I thought that was cool. And I thought, to be fair, I thought that some of the casting was cool. Like, I thought they were good and they fit the bill well, and
So to answer your question, Gruff has said for him, it's maybe a nostalgia thing. I watched them when I was a lot younger, and they don't make horror films like it anymore, for good or bad. I just find them very silly and fun, nothing serious. Now,
yeah, okay.
I get that. I didn't watch Friday the 13th when I was a kid. It wasn't as readily on TV as, say, Halloween. And Halloween was my first horror film, and then seeing the sequels that I didn't know existed until I was a little bit older on the Sci-Fi Channel, I became a huge fan of the series. But Friday the 13th I didn't watch till much later. So I enjoy them, but not to the same level as Halloween. And is that because I think Halloween's better? Maybe. Or is it because I watched it when I was younger? And I think that's the reason why, on a non-horror tangent, I've never been that fussed with Star Wars. It's because I didn't watch it as a kid. And so I don't have that huge attachment. And I think that there probably is, as you say, Gruff, a nostalgia element there. Because I know that there's films and TV shows that if I watch them for the first time as an adult, as a teenager, I think, what's so appealing about this? But yeah, maybe that is something that is a nostalgia thing. It's probably nostalgia why Venga Boys are being booked at Download and filling out tents. Download Festival, which used to have Tool and System of a Down and Rammstein, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Slipknot, the fucking Venga Boys.
Can I just say, everybody, 7:10 this morning, that is what I had to listen to. I didn't mind, but it is this man was truly incensed about that. Having almost been smushed by the absolute carnage that was Busted last year, my personal irritation about that is the safety aspect. It just annoys the hell out of me that they do this stuff and then people are getting basically crushed in pursuit of trying to see these bands. It's just nuts. And also, I will also point out, these people that are queuing in that ridiculous mess to see the Venga Boys would never go and see the Venga Boys unless they happened to already be there, which I find a bit strange. So yeah, that was a real tangent, but it's something that deeply irritated you first thing this morning.
We're talking about nostalgia. We'll go back to the chat. So Gruff had mentioned, you know exactly what's going to happen, you know who's going to survive, and I enjoyed the very 80s jock type characters. Fran also says, I think there's part of the morality tale element. It's the good people, the final girl, the nerd who will make it through while the jerks get got. If an idea before we read the next comment,
I'm just thinking.
an idea to look at that from a comedic element, a film which you might enjoy, although we don't really seem to like the same sort of comedies, but a play on this. There's a film called The Final Girls, or Final Girls, which is like a comedy horror, but it's based around characters basically being sucked in through a cinema screen into an 80s slasher film, and there's almost a comedic element to these sort of tropes. It kind of plays on that, you know, straight away, these people who are real people being brought into the film are like, well, I know you're going to die because you're a slutty cheerleader, and I know you're going to die because you're an arrogant jock who's cheating on his girlfriend, and it plays into all those things. Fran the chat also says, you mean the Venga bus is coming and everyone is jumping?
Yep.
Oh god! I think is it tonight download or tomorrow is McFly? Probably going to have the same sort of thing, the same sort of massive filled tent at a metal festival.
See, I have a tiny little confession to make about that, which is I quite like McFly because I like one of the guys in it. What's his name? Something Fletcher. I'm so bad at names. Somebody in the chat will tell me. Anyway, he's married to a woman who does a podcast that I listen to, and they have the cutest marriage ever. They are so cute, and he wrote a song about her, and they used to do a YouTube channel together. So for that reason, I quite like them. So if I were there, I would be going to see them. Not gonna lie. Sorry. Tom Fletcher, thank you, Fran. I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Next festival is going to be Hellfest in France. Nothing else.
I would definitely be up for that. Yes, please. Sign me up.
Okay, so we've talked about, you know, the many negatives and some positives that you have for Friday the 13th. That's you know, that's fair. It's not my favourite entry in the series, which is why I kind of thought, you know, if time permitted, and it's been one of those weeks, which is one of those weeks a lot because, you know, wedding, work, life, family, and all that stuff. Side hustles. Where I'd have liked to have watched some of the sequels, because for me, Friday the 13th is encapsulated by part 2, more to an extent part 3. Part 4 is okay. Part 6 is my favourite, and I really like Jason Goes to Hell, which I know everyone hates. I quite like it, but it's one of those series where it's like, you can't just jump into one of the later entries without seeing the first one, because part of that is the surprise. If you know nothing about it, part of the surprise is expecting Jason to be the killer, but you're revealed that, oh, it's a middle-aged woman whose son tragically died, and she's now got kind of a schizophrenia sort of thing that's going on a killing spree to keep the camp closed. It's one of those twists that is kind of an iconic part of the film, and if you don't know that going in, that adds to the fun of the film, I think.
Yeah, and actually, to be fair, I did enjoy that part of it. That was probably the best part of the film for me, and I thought it was fun having a female killer, because you don't often see that. So that was cool, actually. That was probably my favourite thing about the film.
Fran asks, what made you choose this over A Nightmare on Elm Street? So Nightmare on Elm Street had always been the plan. That had sort of won the polls on social media. But it came down to we had to keep moving the week that we were going to be either recording or doing this as a live show. And with today being Friday the 13th, it kind of just made sense to let's play into that, because I knew she'd not seen any entries in that series. So I do think that Nightmare on Elm Street is one that we have to do at some point.
Maybe for the next show we can watch that one as well.
Yeah, I think I'll try to. I think my horror homework, is going to be to try to find a classic horror film Victoria's never seen that she might actually like.
I might be able to help you there.
Well, how can you if you've not seen it?
Well, I did some research for tonight's show. I have notes on my phone. But some of you may know that I persuaded the host to let me do a little mini segment about actual creature features. And we're going to talk about those in a bit. And I, as part of my research, did some research about creature features that I had never seen. And there are actually some classic 80s ones that I've never seen. So maybe we should lean into that genre that we know I like and watch some old creature features.
We did start watching Alligator a while ago, and I don't think we ever finished it. But you seem to like the look of that. That's the one with the
I've
mutant
got that on my
alligator.
list. Funny enough, I had that on my positive list of enjoyed films. But there's actually some really classic ones like The Thing that I've never seen. So maybe I should watch those.
When you say creature feature, do you normally think of like animals? Because The Thing isn't animals.
I know it's not an animal, but it's still a creature.
See, The Thing is a dangerous one. The reason I say The Thing is a dangerous one is because fans of the show will know I did a whole episode just on The Thing. I love The Thing. I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, who's the director. And one of the things with being in a relationship is when you show your partner films that are very special to you, if you're a film fan, and if their reaction doesn't necessarily line up to your expectations, it can be a little bit soul-crushing.
Can I tell them the story about the film?
Oh, God, which one? If it's Aliens...
No. So there's a reason he sounds so upset, ladies and gents, which is because when we were first dating, I went to stay with him for the weekend, and he had been so excited to show me this movie.
Oh. I'd forgotten that one. I'd washed the pain away.
And it was one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. And he was actually quite upset about it. It was a near breakup worthy thing, wasn't it, Dee? You were quite unhappy with me, and I can't even remember what it was called. I just remember it being about an STI.
I know the title because I love the film, but I've gone a bit blank on the title. Is it
Because you're so upset that I still didn't like it.
Micah Monroe? It Follows. I absolutely love It Follows. I thought that she's like, oh, I like horror as well. And I thought, oh, you love this. It's a modern, at that time, it's 2014 now, it's 11 years old, but it's a modern horror. Micah Monroe's incredible in it. Oh, it'll be brilliant. Yep, I'd forgotten about that.
You still want to marry me, right? We can still get married?
Yep.
Just about.
Yep, sure.
How about I agree to watch The Thing without you, and then you won't be seeing my reactions, because I have no poker face, so I'll watch it alone. And then if I like it, I'll tell you. If I don't like it, I won't mention it.
I mean, put it this way, chat. I recently made Victoria watch The Terminator because I thought, The Terminator 2 Judgment Day is one of the best films ever made. But to watch Terminator 2, you really have to watch The Terminator first. You could technically get the gist of what happened in The Terminator by just watching Terminator 2, but I kind of feel you need to see the precursor to fully appreciate how great the sequel is. Now, you didn't say anything negative about The Terminator, but were you enjoying it?
Yeah, it was all right. It was fine.
Fine.
No, it was watchable. I wouldn't
Watchable.
I wouldn't rush to watch it again, but I liked it. I'd watch the second one.
I mean, this is where the fear creeps in. If I went, right, here's the second one, best film, one of the best films ever made, up there with Aliens, up there with The Thing, up there with Halloween. And if I was to turn across to Victoria and she was like, head in the hand, or you know, I'd be a bit crushed, to be honest. So yeah, maybe if you were to watch The Thing and I was in a different, if I went out for the night.
Maybe I'll hack the show, ladies and gents, and watch it with you guys and just not tell him. The chat's popped off and there's been some really good stuff in the chat, so can we just zoom in on the chat for a second?
Okay, so Gruff has said Jason Goes to Hell is better than X at least. I'd agree. When they released the 4K editions of Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, it didn't even really cross my mind to pick up Jason X. I know it's a nice copy, but I watched that film once back in the day, and it looked like a made-for-TV film to me. Eddie the Beast says, a question for Victoria. Would you be interested in the scary movie films?
Well, Eddie, I have a confession to make about those. We did watch one of those.
I don't think I've watched any with you. I've seen
we did.
Scary movie. You're not thinking of Scream, are you?
Oh, I am. I'm sorry. Sorry. I told you I was bad at names. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Scary movie are the parodies of horror films.
No, I haven't seen those. No comment, Eddie. Don't know.
I really like the first two Scary Movie films. It is silly comedy.
Is it like Evil Dead? That sort of silly?
No, because it's not really horror.
Oh, okay.
It's more like the Naked Gun film.
Is it like that one where it's like, I know what you did, something like the parody?
Yeah, I know what you did last Friday the 13th.
That one. Yeah.
It's like that. That's like a version of Scary Movie.
Right. Okay. I have seen one of those type of films. I didn't hate it.
Well, I mean, yeah, the first two I think are brilliant. After that, it became very much, what would you call it, like National Lampoon or Naked Gun, where it's like there isn't really much of a story. It's just doing bits from horror films but with a comedic element, like Superhero Movie and what's the one that's like a rip-off of Narnia but it's a joke film? I don't know. Those sorts of knockoff films.
Can we talk about Fran appreciating my homework?
Finally, Fran. Someone taking homework seriously. Gruff says, "What? Oh man, The Thing is my favourite horror film of all time." Fran says, "What about The Thing 2011?" No, no, because the worst thing would be if Victoria watched it and went, "Yeah, this is actually much better than that old one we watched." Yeah, Gruff's a big fan of The Thing. It Follows is brilliant. Like you, Tez, I did the same with Carol Ann. She hated it too. Oh dear, I just didn't realise people hated that classic piece of horror cinema.
Thank you, Fran. I've had It Follows recorded for ages and watched the first 20 minutes 3 times and not gotten past it. Thank you, Fran. Thank you. Truly, it is so weird.
Brilliant. The Gruff, The Terminator is amazing. I love the 80s tech noir style. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with that part. It's fun.
Yeah, The Gruff, like Naked Gun, but horror.
Okay, yeah.
Fran, it's like those 90s comedies. There you go. Date movie or epic movie.
Yeah,
epic
yeah.
movie is what I was thinking of. And Eddie, another scary movie is supposed to be in production.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you had to give, before we move on to your creature features, if we had to give Friday the 13th a score, a Victoria 90s Slave Fiance score out of 10, because I believe you've scored the previous 2 films, what would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 5. Yeah, 5. Because I enjoyed the female reveal character at the end. I liked the 80s throwback of it. But I didn't get a lot out of it. So I think a 5 is fair. I can appreciate it. It was fine. Just didn't do a lot for me.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, the original Friday the 13th, I think, is a decent start for the series, but I do prefer the sequels. I'd give Friday the 13th 7 out of 10, personally. There we go. Now, before we wrap up the show, our next little segment, you wanted to talk about the creature features that you'd want to see and also the films that you enjoy. So over to you, Victoria.
Okay, so hang on, let me just get my homework out because I said bad names. So I started trying to put them in an order, like a top 10, but I found that really hard. So I've given up with that, and I'm just going to give you a list of what I have really enjoyed, and then I've got a few films that are on my bad list. So, in no particular order, as I say, because I genuinely am struggling to put them in order. Deep Blue Sea, such an underrated movie in my opinion. I think Deep Blue Sea is an absolute classic. It's got everything. It's got a great villain, it's got great sharks, it's got comedy. LL Cool J is amazing in it. The soundtrack's great. I saw a TikTok recently of a girl who was reviewing shark movies and it wasn't on there, and I was so pleased to see in the chat everyone on the comments was like, hello, where's Deep Blue Sea? So underrated. This one I'm going to get some hate for, I'm prepared for it, but I genuinely loved Bait. If you haven't seen it, it's set in a supermarket. I thought it was fabulous. Rogue, I've mentioned it already a couple of times. I've seen it, I don't even know how many times, embarrassingly number of times, probably about 20 times. I think it's a great movie. Jaws, obviously, you mentioned it earlier. I'm a big fan of Jaws. And I'm also really devastated that Universal have celebrated Jaws in the parks with special merch that we're going to miss. It's going to be gone by the time we get there on a honeymoon. And that they haven't reopened the ride. I realise, of course, that the ride is gone and that Harry Potter Land replaced it. But they had a real opportunity there to bring that ride back. The Jaws ride, for anybody who doesn't know, was absolutely epic. There are videos of it on YouTube. Go watch the videos. They are so cool, and it was a great ride. I was very lucky to go on it as a kid. Gutted it's not there anymore. Amazing movie. Jurassic Park, even the bad ones. Somebody said in the chat earlier they are so hyped for the new one. I am ridiculously hyped for the new Jurassic World movie because it looks like a return to the original Jurassic Park vibe. If it doesn't deliver that, I'm going to be so upset because I like Jurassic World. They're fine. They're dinosaur movies. I will always watch them. But nothing has come close to the original Jurassic Park vibe, and this is being billed as that. So please deliver. I'm so excited, and I'm really afraid that I'm too excited. It's going to let me down. So keep everything crossed for me, everybody. Again, I may get some hate for this, but Lake Placid, I think that is absolute genius. That little old lady feeding the crocodiles, it's wonderful. Anaconda, who doesn't like J-Lo and a big snake? I'm sorry. The Meg 2, it's got Jason Statham and a shark. Hello. Snakes on a Plane, wonderful. Not really a horror, but still, it's a creature feature in my opinion. This one I probably am going to get some hate for as well, but the 1998 Godzilla movie, The Good One, with Matthew Broderick in it.
The good one?
I really like that one. I know everyone hates it, but I really like it. Alien, you please tell it's on there. Gremlins, because who doesn't love a gremlin? The Swarm with Michael Caine, which, I mean, Michael Caine is an absolute genius anyway, but also it's a B movie. Who doesn't love a B movie? This one's a bit more rare and people might not have seen it. If you haven't seen it, go see The Edge. The Edge is so cool. Well worth a watch. And then I have got a couple of... Oh, and I forgot Alligator is also on my good list. I do have a couple of bad ones, and the one I want to talk about as a bad one is 47 Meters Down. I rewatched that this week for this show because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I remembered being quite indifferent to it the first time I saw it, but it got so much hype and there was a sequel that I was like, maybe I missed something. So I paid £5 for it on Amazon this week, and it was a waste of my £5. I want it back. What a load of crap that film is. There you are. That's my list.
So we'll have a quick look at the chat. What did you think? You haven't mentioned. Well, I know you mentioned The Edge, but what about that bear film? Other than the awful audio that we watched a little while ago, Backwater.
Oh, that was good actually.
Backwoods, something like that?
Yeah, that was good. We went through a period of there being something wrong with our TV, and
I think it was the mix. I don't think it was
Do
our
you?
TV. I think it
but it was
was.
so many movies. Anyway, we had a problem with quite a few movies, and that movie, unfortunately, we had this big issue where the music was really loud and the dialogue was really quiet, and I don't have great hearing, so I really struggled with that film for that reason. I'd actually like to rewatch that because I thought it was really good and really original. It was a bit ruined by the sound for me.
So the graph mentions in regards to the new Jurassic World, he says it reminds me of Part 3 in a lot of ways, but Gareth Edwards, who's the director, has a good record.
Okay.
France's feelings about the new Anaconda reboot with Jack Black and Paul Rudd.
Have I seen it?
It's not out yet.
Oh,
But what are your
right.
feelings about a reboot for Anaconda?
I didn't know about it. That sounds quite exciting. Is there a girl in it? Who's the girl in it?
Don't know. I know Jack Black and Paul Rudd.
I mean, I love Jack Black. I mean, this is definitely, the horror fans are not going to like me saying this, but The Holiday, which is a very cheesy rom-com, which I watch every Christmas, there's a Jack Black character in that, and I love him. I also love him in School of Rock and some other stuff. So I really like him. So, I mean, if it's got him in it, I probably want to watch it anyway, to be honest.
Gruff says, have you seen Congo, Vix? It's so bad, but I find it's good fun.
I'm not sure.
It's with Amy, the sign language, but with a robotic voice operator that talks.
Can you show me a picture of it?
Silverback gorillas.
Because I'm not great with names, it's not easy for me, but let me quickly have a look at a picture because I'll know if I've seen it. No, I haven't seen that. Let's put that on the list.
Okay, it's a film, but it's based on a novel by Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park.
Ooh, okay. And I like gorilla movies. I forgot to mention Planet of the Apes. Does that count as a creature feature? I love that.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's got creatures in it. So The Edge is brilliant, Gruff says. Fran says, have you seen Blackwater, an Aussie croc film?
Probably. It sounds familiar, but I don't remember without being shown a picture. Sorry. I'm a very visual being. Names don't do a lot for me.
Oh, it's very small.
I think I have seen that. It looks familiar,
Based on true
but I don't remember it.
I'm not familiar with it. Gruff, 47 Metres Down was so boring. I enjoyed Backwater, whatever it's called. Good popcorn movie. Paul Rudd, the guy who never ages.
He doesn't, that's true.
Goosebumps. Did you ever watch Goosebumps as a kid?
No, I've never seen that.
Oh. Well, did you? Yeah, that's a good question actually, because I know you're a couple of years younger than me. No, yeah, it's a good Freudian slip.
Did you hear that?
Couple of
He
years
was going to say
younger.
older.
Younger.
Older. I have Botox, don't you
Younger.
know? I am not old.
Just putting that on the internet.
Old.
Younger. Did you? What was like your kind of kids' TV when you were a kid in terms of like gateway horror? So for me, there was Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark? Did you watch either of those, or was it just never really on your radar? That kind of like young adult teen horror.
So you already know the answer to this question, I think, but I will remind you of the answer, and we'll make the fans laugh because I don't mind. I'm always happy to make you guys laugh on the internet. That's why I'm here. So, my poor parents, as my mother pointed out to you this week, had to live with me. I was a very anxious child, and had a lot of nightmares as a child. Didn't sleep really at all for years. And when I was about, I wish I could say I was younger, but I think I was probably about 8, maybe even 9. Definitely far too old for what I'm about to say. We moved house, and my deepest wish was to have a 101 Dalmatians bedroom, because I was obsessed with the movie and I love dogs, and I really wanted my bedroom to be 101 Dalmatians themed. So my mother, bless her heart, went out and bought me 101 Dalmatians bedding, 101 Dalmatians pillows, 101 Dalmatians wallpaper, curtains, you name it. It was decorated, and the border of the wallpaper, because it was, the 90s, everybody had a border, was the 101 Dalmatians running around the border. So it had all the dogs, all the puppies running all the way around. And my poor mother spent about a week decorating this bedroom for me, and my first night in the new bedroom, I woke up in the middle of the night screaming my head off that the Wo-Wos were coming to get me, and I refused to set foot back in my bedroom until the wallpaper had been taken back down again. So, for that reason, I was not allowed to watch anything scary as a child, and I actually also, rather embarrassingly, got really into a show called 999. Does anyone remember this show? It had Michael Burke as the presenter, and it was all about like rescue things. And there was an episode of that where a bear attacked these two ladies in, a woman and her husband, who were camping by a river. And I was terrified of bears after that. And my dad used to scratch, we lived in a bungalow, my dad used to scratch the bedroom window at night. And so I would have nightmares about bears too. So yeah, that also I got banned from watching 999 after that, because then I was afraid of bears. So I didn't sleep for about 2 weeks after that either. So no, I didn't watch anything scary as a child. The closest I came was Jurassic Park. And even then I hid behind the sofa when it was on.
Oh dear. See, I would have loved. I mean, I don't know. I think you probably are still this impressionable, but I'd have loved you to have seen a show called A Haunting, which is basically like 999, but in terms of without the host. It's basically one of those recreation shows, but based on supposed haunting cases. And some of them were genuinely very creepy.
Yeah, I couldn't have watched that.
So Gruff says, Carol Ann made him watch The Holiday. Awful. I hate Jude Law.
Jude Law is a vile human being. I'm with you, mate, but it's worth it for Jack Black. What a legend.
Gruff also says that I'm in the doghouse now, sleeping with the poochies tonight. Gruff loved 999. Fran, I know the show. It had those dramatic recreations of events.
Yeah, and a brilliant soundtrack. Do-do-do. It was great. It was very effective. I actually think when I was at university, rewatched a lot of them on YouTube. And I'm still now, to this day, searching for that episode with the bear. And I've still never found it. If anyone ever on the depths of the internet comes across the episode of 999 with the bear, I would love to rewatch it now. I've searched YouTube. I've done that. It's not on there. He's now trying to find the episode. It's not there, darling. I promise you. Anywho, yeah, great show. And it was fabulous. But no, I was not allowed to watch anything scary. In fact, you know when you go through that kind of teenage phase where all of your friends like horror, particularly for me, I was a goth when I was a teenager, so all of my friends liked horror. I was that absolute loser that sort of snuck off to the kitchen to wash up whenever there was a horror film on. I did soon get over that and started watching horror films when I was at university. But I think for that reason, a lot of the kind of older stuff I've never seen, because
The BBC 999 series does not feature an episode with a bear attack.
it does.
Apparently not.
Well, it does.
Maybe this is a Mandela effect.
It's not.
But the internet says no.
Well, I don't care. I watched it. Anyway.
There we go. So, do we have any other creature features you wanted to talk about?
I have some more comments, if that's all right.
You have more comments, okay?
I do. So I was trying to think about what it is about these films I actually like, because obviously my kind of point of bringing up the creature features was that these are all films that I genuinely love and think are wonderful films. And I was trying to think if there's like a kind of common thread amongst them. Now, some of these obviously are in here because they make me laugh, and I don't find them scary, they're just funny. But there are ones that I find scary on here, and I think the ones that are scary, they're scary in a particular way where you get like some comedy in them. So like Deep Blue Sea, when I first saw Deep Blue Sea, I thought it was scary to a point, and there's some brilliant kills in it, and there's some brilliant jump scares in it. But you get those moments that are truly funny. The character that LL Cool J plays in that movie with the chef, and he's got a bird, And there's a brilliant line where it's like, "You ate my bird." I mean, it's so funny. And even when you are afraid of it, I think it's funny. I really enjoy that when a movie breaks the tension with comedy. And that's what I think I like about those movies. So I'd like to try and find some other movies that do that aren't necessarily crocodiles or sharks, or, you know, because I tend to be leaning towards those types of films, but I'm hoping we can find other films that I'm going to like that will do the same thing but in a different genre, if that makes sense. Because I think so far we've kind of, at least for this series, we've focused on what I would call quite arty films, and I think we've learned that that's not really my thing. So I'm interested in whether the fans have got any suggestions for me that would get me the same outcome but in a different genre.
So you're not going to enjoy if we watch some brutalist Russian 80s horror?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's a shame. What about expressionist 1918 silent era cinema?
Definitely not.
Well, I tried, chat. I tried.
I mean, to be fair, if we think about some of the other films I've liked, like never mind the creature features, but like, what are those ones I like with the man with the guitar?
Man with the guitar.
Yeah, the good looking paranormal guy who plays the guitar. The one with the haunt that the families are being haunted and the couple go and.
Oh, The Conjuring.
Yes, they're great films, and they're terrifying. I love those films. They're great. I also really like Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal, although I'm less keen on Hannibal, but I do like it. I also really like.
It would be interesting to know if you liked the TV series of Hannibal, because that is quite arty.
No, sold that.
Oh, it's incredible.
Okay, we'll put that on the list.
Very arty.
Have you seen any of the Saw? Yes. Embarrassingly gruff. Yeah, I have. I actually really like the Saw films. Although I will say they've gone too far for me now. Saw, whatever it was, 10 that we saw recently, that went too far for me. They've gone too far for a while. I think the last one that I actually enjoyed was Saw 4. I think after that they've gone too far. I've never seen Hostel, although funny enough, I did actually own it for a while and never got round to watching it. It was one of the ones that ended up being sent to CEX at some time or other, but I never watched it because the cover of it actually frightened me. But I actually would quite like to watch Hostel because I think I probably would enjoy that. I'm not sure what that says about me, but I do like those films. And Eddie's asked, speaking of arty, have you seen Terrifier? So we have a very good friend. I have a very good friend who was recently having a tough time, and I invited her over to watch a film with us, and I let the two of these guys pick the film. Well, she's a massive horror fan, and that was a mistake because they picked Terrifier.
And Terrifier 2.
What a load of shit that was. Can I swear on this? Well, I have now. Sorry, everybody, if I'm not allowed to, but I absolutely hated it. Dreadful. It was awful. And actually, funny enough, Eddie, I mentioned Terrifier to Tez the other night because, again, it falls into that category for me of I just don't know what I'm supposed to feel. I spend the entire film going, am I supposed to be afraid? Am I supposed to be laughing? If I am, I'm not finding it funny. I don't think my brain understands like what I'm supposed to be, like what reaction I'm supposed to be having, because I just don't understand what anyone gets out of it, to be honest. Sorry. I know you loved it though. And so did Alicia, so it's not just you, it's, you know, it's me that doesn't like it, clearly. I was overruled that night for strong in this house.
Yeah, I mean, it's their fun. I mean, one film which it's an incredible film, but it is very heavy going in the latter half, is Bone Tomahawk. Kurt Russell. It's got the chap that you like, Patrick Wilson from The Conjuring. It's a Western film.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
But it does take a turn in the second half, and it gets quite brutal.
Okay.
There's a particular death in it which is like, I can't watch that again. I've seen it once. I don't want to watch that again. But yeah, Bone Tomahawk, that's a classic. Fran says the Terrifier series is just cruel and nasty. Eddie says, I think with Terrifiers more blood and gore instead of comedy in a way. I agree, Fran. Yeah, I definitely thought with the first Terrifier film, it was like, okay, Art the Clown is an interesting new sort of killer, but there wasn't really a plot, and it was just, who do you root for when everyone's getting dismembered? Who's your protagonist? But I do think that they've sort of righted those wrongs a bit in part two and part three. It's still its hallmark. It's still the over the top, insane gore, but they have added a protagonist and they have tried to flesh out a bit more of a story. Not everyone's cup of tea, and I certainly really didn't like the first one, but yeah, I enjoy the second and third.
Okay.
Oh God, the Gruff. Vix, have you seen Eden Lake? That's brilliant, but very intense. He also says, one-time watch for me, Eden Lake. I couldn't take it again. It's a one-watch film for me. Have you seen Eden Lake? Can she see a picture?
Sorry, everybody.
Show me a picture.
I'm really sorry. I'm so bad at names. It's a real problem. No, I haven't seen it. Although, actually, have I seen it? That picture looks more familiar.
Michael Fassbender and Kelly Riley. They're a couple who go out to a suburban sort of area for a weekend getaway, but they come across chavs. And the chavs are quite vicious.
I've got a funny feeling that we started this at some point.
We certainly haven't. I've seen it once ages ago and I've never had an interest in watching it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've definitely not watched this with you.
Maybe there's something else similar that we've started with. I know there was a film set at a lake that at some point we started and then turned off, but I don't remember what it was called. No, I haven't seen it, I don't think. So I'll put that on my list and let you know what I think.
Yeah, Michael Fassbender. It's it's a very good film. James Watkins directed, who did Speak No Evil recently, which is also very good, and he did The Woman in Black, which is all right.
I like that film. Can I say, because it's quite exciting, I think. So, Woman in Black was filmed at an island in the UK that I have been to, and if you are looking for a spooky weekend getaway, everybody, again, I'm sorry that names are not my strong point and I can't remember the name of it, but we can Google it and tell you. The location of that filming, that island is so creepy and so cool, and you can go there on holiday and stay in one of the little houses on the island. And you genuinely are cut off from the mainland, which is why they chose it for filming. It's a very creepy place, so well worth a visit.
Yeah, it's certainly a creepy looking location from the film. Ignore me. He was Magneto, wasn't he? Gruff says. Yeah, Magneto in the First Class films was Michael Fassbender, who's in Eden Lake. So, sounds like it's raining outside.
I was about to ask you that. Is it raining? I think it is.
Hopefully that means the temperature's going to drop because it is roasting still.
Hooray for my plants.
Yay! I think that's kind of it for this evening's show.
I had something else I wanted to say and I've forgotten what it was now. So yeah, that'll do for me. That's going to really annoy me. I'm going to walk out of here and be like, damn, I forgot to mention that thing.
Do you want a moment?
Oh, wait, I have remembered. I heard you mention earlier that we are going to Halloween Horror Nights. So I just want to plug again that, of course, we are getting married soon. And today it is 111 days until our wedding. 111, that's a significant number. So we are going to be vlogging while we are on our honeymoon, and we'll be vlogging when we go and stay at the Stanley Hotel, which is a haunted hotel where The Shining was inspired by and where Stephen King was when he wrote The Shining. We are going to be going to Halloween Horror Nights, where we're going to vlog from Halloween Horror Nights and various other stops along the way. So please do all the things, sign up, press all the buttons, and come along with us for that. I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you guys. And one other tiny thing I wanted to mention, because it's a movie that I am genuinely really excited about, and it's definitely not horror, but it does fall into the kind of gothic, creepy, witchy genre, so I think it's okay to mention it here. We are getting a Practical Magic 2, everybody, and I cannot tell you how truly, genuinely excited I am about it. I am wearing my tiger's eye today for protection on Friday the 13th, much like Gillian in the first movie. Truly cannot wait for that to come out. And if they don't have Stevie Nicks on the soundtrack again, I will cry. So yes, that is a movie that truly I am very, very excited about.
Eddie asks, where are you going to vlog? YouTube, Patreon, others? I think vlogging, there's probably going to be snippets going on Instagram. We have a Vegas and Valentine's Instagram account, which is for our Vegas wedding and our Valentine's UK party. But I will also, we've got a very fancy camera, it's hidden away at the moment, a little DJI Osmo Pocket 2. I'm going to be recording footage on that, and I think if mental bandwidth allows, I will try and do the odd YouTube edit. It's more likely that there'll be a post-honeymoon blog on YouTube with snippets going on, as and when on Instagram, Facebook, that sort of thing. But at some point, I think to edit a YouTube video, I'd ideally want to be at a computer, not doing it on my phone. And for a proper sort of edit, it would be nice to do it as we go. But I also think our honeymoon plan is quite full on of driving location to location. So I think when we get to a hotel, the last thing I'm going to want to do is start editing a video to put on YouTube. So snippets as we go. We're going to be hitting Instagram, I'd imagine, Ministry of Horror, Vegas and Valentine's. But then I will want to sort of do a bit of a long form edit on YouTube for Ministry of Horror. And that will include the Stanley Hotel, the Shining Hotel, where I'm going to see if I can procure a GoPro to put on a baseball cap on Victoria's head to get her reactions. Kind of like there's that chap who is obsessed with trains and he has a GoPro following him and he's like, oh, wow, look at the... I don't know if train names, but look at that, it's amazing. It'll be her screaming her head off because actors jumping out at her in a haunted hotel.
I've got to say, I think that has to go on the Patreon, guys. If you want to see that, you're going to have to sign up to the Patreon. Maybe we'll put some snippets of that on YouTube too. But yeah, I think the long form edit of that can go out to the Patreon subscribers only. But I am prepared yet again to sign myself up for making you guys laugh on the internet. That's how I see my role here. And just a couple more comments from me about the Instagram. I will get our lovely host to share the Instagram handle with you guys for Vegas and Valentine's, so you can follow along with that journey. I'm already starting to post some of our wedding prep on there. And actually this week I'm going to be sharing our honeymoon road trip plan on there. So if you guys are interested and want to check that out, please do. And yeah, there'll be some fun wedding content coming. I've got loads of stuff already ready to post. I just haven't quite gotten around to posting it yet. I am new to this content creation thing. I need to get better at actually sitting down and doing some of that stuff. So that's coming this week. And I did a road trip across the US solo back in 2022, and I blogged my way through that using Instagram and Facebook, and my personal Instagram account still has all of that on there. The form I did that in was pretty much a combination of TikTok videos and actual blog content, written blog content. So that's all still there if you want to go back and have a look at that. I would imagine doing a similar thing this time, as and when time allows, because, I still want to be present and enjoy the honeymoon. But I think it's nice to share, particularly on a road trip. I think it's fun to share with people what you're up to and what you're seeing. And some of the places we're going look exceptional. So I'm really excited to share those with everybody. There was a comment I wanted to address in the chat. Gruff, I am very happy to share my views of the new Jurassic World movie. I think we'll do a special episode if Tez will allow it. Maybe we could even do a whole special just about the Jurassic Park movies from start to finish, even the bad ones. Oh my God, that would be so exciting. Bring your popcorn, everybody. And Eddie, I can promise you now there'll be no slapping of actors. I am much more likely to run away crying, I'll be honest. I did actually recently watch a video of a chap who did one of the tours that we're doing of the Shining Hotel, and I was terrified watching his video. Fortunately, I'm a big whiskey drinker, and there is a very nice whiskey bar in the hotel. So I have told the host that I'm going to go and get myself suitably sloshed in the bar before we start that tour, because I truly don't think I'm going to sleep that night. And I've also made the terrible, terrible mistake of emailing the hotel and informing them that we want to do some filming while we're there, because my other half runs a podcast called Ministry of Horror. And I've subsequently realised that was a really stupid mistake, because now they're going to know that he wants the most haunted room. What did I do that for? So stupid.
Oh dear.
Anyway, I will stop talking. Thank you very much for having me, everybody. Are you going to do a watch party now?
But yeah, I mean, do we wanna do a watch party? It's 25 minutes past 10, but I don't need to get up early for anything tomorrow.
No, you don't.
No. I've got a fun activity day of building Warhammer planned for tomorrow.
Oh, look. Can I show them the little model? Look.
No, because they'll go, he hasn't done anything on it for months.
I can't see. Look. Look how sweet. This is what you get when you agree to marry a nerd. Your house becomes filled with this sort of stuff. Can I tell them one other thing, which is that my best friend, her husband and Tez are very good friends, and they both bought the same kit. And my best friend was genuinely very upset that her husband and father of two had gone out and bought himself toys. And I may have had to admit that was sort of my fault, because it was Tez's idea. Oopsie. Good job, I don't mind.
She enables me. Go on, baby, treat yourself. You've worked hard. I'm like, I have worked hard,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is true. I do that. I just want you to be happy. Anyway.
She's a good girl.
Oh, thanks, babe. Right. Well, you guys enjoy your film. Have a great week, everybody. And happy Friday the 13th.
Cool. So yeah, we will stick around. We'll see if there's something to stream. But if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, listening to this on podcast platforms, be sure to follow Ministry of Horror on socials: TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, Ministry_Horror. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Ministry of Horror, where you can support the channel if you wish. Every little bit helps. We get married, go on a honeymoon around America. Money.
Oh my God! Please
sure.
ignore my co-host.
Co-host. Be sure to follow on those channels, and twitch.tv/Tesis, where I do occasionally stream video games, but we also do the odd live watch party and live show. So there we go.